So hello everyone. In the last video, I just mentioned that we can pull the base image from the Docker Hub, and we can add our custom application with the base image and create a custom uh, image, and from that custom image we can create a container. So in this video I am going to show you how we can install the Docker and run the container. So before creating the custom image, let's first I will show you how we can use the base image. So so this is my CentOS machine, CentOS Stream 9, and I have this IP on this machine. So first install the Docker on the CentOS. So let's go to the Docker website and follow the command that is mentioned there. Okay, next install Docker engine. Yeah, so install this one. Okay, so the Docker is installed. Now let's start the uh, daemon. So so I have start and I have enabled so that on next reboot the daemon will run automatically. Okay, let's check if it is installed or not. So okay, so we have Docker installed. Now our first task is first so I have this machine and whose IP is 2.210. So first I will search for the images. For example, I am just checking for the httpd base image on the Docker Hub. So how I can search that? So Docker search httpd. Okay, so if you see here, these are the images for httpd, and from where it has presented us this output from the this Docker Hub, where images are maintained. Now uh, how I can pull the images from the Docker Hub? So for that, Docker pull, Docker image pool and the image name. So in my case I think I have sent to a server, so I will pull this image. So it is pulling the image from the Docker Hub. Yeah, so now I have pulled the image, and to list the image the command is docker images. So if you see here, I have just pulled the images, and this image is now available on my system. It was created 4 years ago. The size is this one. Tag is latest. Okay, now I can list other way as well. So image ls, so this will also list the image now. So I have now pulled the base image httpd image from this Docker Hub to my system. So now I want to create the container. So how can I create the container? So before creating the container, let's check if we have any running container. So docker ps, so we don't have any container running. ps-a, we don't have any container running. Now there are two things. So once image is available on the my system, once I create this container, so there may be two scenario. One scenario may be that I only need to access this container from my this machine only, and the second scenario would be to access the container from the outside world. So first let's check this scenario to so that container is accessible from the local machine only. For that, the command is docker run -t -name and the container name. So I will keep this name as dash name, and the name is web server. And now the image. So what is the image? This is the image. So I will put this and hit enter. Now from this image one container is created whose name is this one, but this is only locally accessible. So now say docker ps, if you see here the container is up whose id is this one, image is this one, created 40 seconds ago, port is this one. So by default it works on port 80 httpd and the name of the image is this one. Now suppose I need to access the container suppose from the outside of this machine. So how I can access, how can I create the container that can be accessible from the outside machine? So for that the command would be same. So I will create new container name, new web server, and then port. So last time I mentioned that there should be some port should be used. So like port number 02103 is a privileged port that is used for standard applications, and from this 10242 65536, this port are non-privileged port. So I will be using one non-privileged port that is not used by any standard application. So dash p option, and so from outside I want to make accessible on port 1111. So 11, and since httpd port works on 80 port locally, so I need to put the local port. So this port is the port that we connect from outside the machine, and this is the local port, and image name is obviously this one. So hit enter. Docker ps. Okay, so now I have created a new container whose name is this one, and whose id is this one, created with this. Now so the status of this container is running state. Now how I can enter, how suppose I have one running container, so how can I enter inside the how can I enter inside this container? So for that command is docker exit that -it for iterative, and then the container name. So I want to enter in this container, and then I want the bash shell. Okay, so previously the machine name was this one, control node, but now if you see here there is some id. So actually I'm inside the container, I'm inside this running container. Now to test the web server, normally what we do is inside var www.html we create index.html page. So let's go to that folder and create index.html HTML this from Docker container, and then close the tag. Okay. Now I am inside the I'm still inside the container because there is the ID, not the actual host. So I'm inside the container. Suppose I need to create one user, suppose inside the container, then what I can do, user add uh, maybe user one. So I can create the user, I can do anything. So I can do ifconfig. Okay, but I think this command is not available, so because the package for ifconfig is not available. So what I can do is, so this command is managed by is available on this package. So let me install that. Yeah, so inside the container, if you want to install any packages, so make sure that the internet is reachable from this container. Okay, it's installing, it may take few seconds. So actually this is going to take few minutes, so I am going to cancel this because we don't need this right now. Okay, so let's wait for some time. I think it's downloading the package, installing these packages, and it's taking some time. Okay, okay, so I have created this index.html. Now let's check if it is accessible from outside world. So I have one container running on port, I think ps, so I'm inside the container. So yeah, docker ps, so it's running on this port, and the IP address of the server is 192.168.18.210. So let's check here. So 192.168.18.210, and the port number is this one. So hit enter. So if you see here now, we are getting the output. This website is running from the container. So So the container is this http d image is running inside this container whose name is this one, and now we are able to access because from the outside the port this one is being mapped to this one. Okay, now suppose I want to stop the container, so how I can do that is docker stop and the container name. So suppose I want to, if I want to stop this, docker stop and the container name. Okay, so if I now do docker ps, now only one container is available. But if I want to see if the container that is up or exited state, so I want to list all containers, so how I can do that, ps dash a. So if you see here, this is in exited state that we stopped. Now if I want to remove this container, how I can do that is docker rm and then container name. So now ps-a, if even with this command ps-a command, we are not getting that container. Now suppose I want to remove the container in the running state. So suppose this is running state, if I want to remove this container, and so you can see that it cannot be deleted because it is in running state. So for that we need to force and then delete. So now docker ps, so there is no any container running. Okay, so next point, uh, let's check the images. So we have this image available. Now I want to remove this image from my machine, so how I can remove that? So for that, docker rmi and then the image name. Now if I check docker images, so there is no images. Yeah, so I just showed you how we can pull the images from the docker hub, how we can uh, create a container from the images, how we can install the package inside the container, how or how we can like create http d, how we can use httpd web server from container. So I just showed you, and I just showed you by accessing from the outside machine. So yeah, this is all about this video. In the next video I will show you how we can create a custom image. So thanks for watching.